All right. Okay, so here we are, ClassCalc Demo. So we begin with signing up. So basically the way ClassCalc works is, you have the teacher signs up as a teacher, the students sign up as a student, and the teacher can then create a classroom, add students to those classrooms, and then initiate lockdown. So we're going to start by signing up as a teacher on your computer. So everyone here will need a computer and a phone, right? The computer will act as a teacher, the phone will act as a student. So I just dropped a link inside the chat. Please go ahead and open that link. It's just classcalc.com/graphing. And once you're in that link, you'll be prompted to sign up in the top left corner. So go ahead and sign up as a teacher. Give you guys like 20 seconds for that. All right, is everyone signed up as a teacher? Or are we running into any on the road?
Nope, I think I'm good. I just have to enter my school name.
All right, wonderful.
I'm already signed on.
Nice. Okay, next we will sign up as students. Well, let me ask you this. Does everyone here have an iPhone? Do we have Androids? Where are we?
iPhone.
iPhone and Elizabeth?
Same,
iPhone?
I'm on iPhone.
Okay, cool. So go ahead and open the App Store and then just type ClassCalc and download it. It's the blue CC logo. And then once you guys download it, go ahead and click the button on the top left, and then sign up. It should be open up a little side panel, and then sign up. And this time, sign up as a student and just use a different email. You click that button on the top left.
Yep.
And you just click sign up, and you should be able to sign up as a student. Okay, now back to the teacher. Next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna create a classroom, and this is gonna reflect each one of your classrooms. So maybe you have a physics class, a stats class, whatever it is, you can name it the name of your classroom. So I'm gonna go ahead as Nikola Tesla. I'm a teacher. I'm gonna click on the teacher panel. And I'm going to add classroom, and let's just call it stat 103. And now I have a new class with a new class code, right? You can see this is my class code. You guys are gonna have your own class code. So now I'm going to go ahead as the student, just open that. As a student, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna type in that class. So I'm gonna click that top left button again. I'm gonna click join a class. And then I'm gonna click join a class up here. And I'm gonna put in that 6-digit class code, which for me is 903535. And again, you'll have your own class code. And you'll see once the student enters that code, it'll show up here. So Bert Einstein is now in Nikola Tesla's class. Now, let's say during class, it'll show 20, 30 students here. Great, I go ahead and I select the class. You can see I've selected stat 103. And I click start test. And when I click start test, all the students will get an invite on their screen. You see Bert is yellow right now, which means he's pending, right? And you see on Albert Einstein's screen, that he has a test invite from Nikola Tesla. So Bert clicks join. And then this says, okay, look, your phone's going to lock. And I think once I lock, it's going to kick me out of this mode to reflect my phone on the computer. We'll see. But yeah, it joins test mode. Oh, actually, never mind. It doesn't. But you see now Albert Einstein's in test mode, and that's indicated by this red bar at the top of the screen, which indicates test mode. And on the teacher's side of things, Albert Einstein has a green button next to his name, which means he's active. He's in test mode. Now you'll notice on the student's phone, you can't get any text, calls, notifications. You can't swipe home. You can't swipe away. There's nothing you can do. You can just use the calculator.
Can I ask a question on this one?
Okay, go ahead.
So if we have, again, especially for Liz, because she's working with a fully online course, but I will also have students with accommodations who will take their test at the testing center. How does this work with them? So everybody's going to be taking it at different times depending on their schedule. So do we have to invite everyone for the, we're not gonna be able to do that at the testing center. We're not gonna be able to invite them. We're not gonna be there to do that.
You said that
So
at the testing
does that
center,
eliminate?
You said they have their own lockdown over there, no?
Yes. So I'm pretty sure a student can get into a website, so they won't have to be in test mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
if they have their own lockdown, you could ask the testing center to just use the lockdown on ClassCalc.com. Let's say that they're using the graphing. You can just ask the testing center to allow just this website with the graphing calculator.
okay.
Or if it's just scientific, you could ask them to just whitelist this URL for just the scientific.
We're gonna have to check on that. The more work we give them, the more challenging it becomes. But if we can put it in, we have an option when we register the exams for allowed materials. We might be able to put it there. So I have to check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where you put it. And I think there should be a way to even just say, okay, just anything under the ClassCalc.com domain should be whitelisted. That way you don't even, it's just anything, any of the calculators will be usable. Because you could see when you change the URL here, see now this is matrix calculator. I've used a lot of these web lockdowns. It should be really easy. It should be really simple.
Yeah.
Okay, and then lastly, you'll see on the student's phone, they have this exit test button on the top left. So if they click that, it'll warn them. It'll say, hey, if you leave, the teacher will be notified. And I'm going to click exit test mode on the student side. And you see that it makes a sound and immediately tells you Albert Einstein left the test, and you can see that he's red. And Albert Einstein cannot re-enter the test on his own. Only I can re-invite him as a teacher.
Okay.
So if you guys wanted, there's another, I don't know if this helps. So first of all, I think with this method, hopefully test mode is just being used for your in-class assessments. And then the testing center, what I know is that almost all testing centers in the US have a lockdown mechanism and a way to just whitelist websites. So I believe that should be simple enough for you guys and cover all testing environments. If you really wanted, another thing you can do is basically students could walk into the testing center. Some teachers opt for this. They could walk into the testing center, they click that top left button, and they click on self-lock here. So the teacher doesn't need to be there. They just lock their own phone. Right. So now
they won't be allowed phones. The testing center absolutely will not allow phones. They'll have to be on the desktop.
Yeah, forget it then. Yeah. Then they should totally just use the lockdown for the desktop. That'll be easiest.
Yeah.
That'll be the easiest for sure. Any questions about the lockdown portion?
Nope, that's all I have.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Absolutely. Do you guys think that that could potentially be a solution, assuming the testing center is willing to do the whitelisting?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
don't know what,
think I was talking to Nick Shea and he said that the testing center can lock down and just give them access to one. Yeah, the problem is when they say they take a test on Alex in the testing center, they would actually need access to two. And I don't know if the testing center can do that. I'll have to check.
Yeah, please do check and let me know. I'm happy to be of help however I can.
Okay, thanks.
Would you guys like a little tour of the calculator?
so we'll be in two spots for this course, the graph and the stat.
You said graph and stats, yes?
And one of the things that I wanted,
Graph
yeah,
and
I
stat.
wanted to try to also do was look at importing data. You mentioned it's just a copy paste, right?
Yeah, so let's do, oops. Let's start with that. We'll do some stat stuff. So let's say, I'm just gonna type in gibberish data here. And you could do like up to thousands of rows, but let's say I have this for now. So I just copy that, Command C, and come in here and I press Command V. And the data's in there.
Cool. Okay.
And so now I can actually play around with these like they're variables. So I could do like one BS, one var stat of X1, and that's it.
Perfect.
For a list like of all the stats, and you could also see they're actually automatically plotted in the scatter plot. For a list of all statistical functions, I know a lot of the shortcuts obviously, but you can just go to stats here. So you open the keyboard and you go to stats. You got basic, mean, median, mode, combinations, permutations, standard deviation, variance, and then you have advanced linear regression, polynomial regression, distributions and plots, normal, t-distribution, binomial, and then all the tests, z-test, t-test, one prop, two prop, one sample, two sample, ANOVA. And then if you ever feel confused, you could go to classcalc.com/tutorial. And under here, under calculators, you'll see all the tutorials we have for distributions, box plot, histogram, regression. It's all there. Yeah, so if at any time, I'm going to go through them in tutorial, obviously, but if at any time you want to rehash, they're right here. Also, if you just click this question mark, it'll take you to a Zendesk with basically a tutorial of everything.
Cool.
Some of the other cool features. So let's say we have this table and I want to just, let's say you're doing your tests on a computer, or there's just like a worksheet, right? And I want the students to already have this data plotted in their calculator. And maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's even more complicated. Maybe it's like y1 + 5 for whatever reason, and then, you know, sine of y1, and you want them to play around with this data. This is going to be what their work of the day is based on. So instead of, and then let's say there's 100 rows for each one instead of 20. If you want the students to just have this pre-populated in their calculator, you can just click on share or this button up here. And let's say stats Q1, you can add a description if you want, and now you copy this. And I'm just going to go ahead and send it to you guys in the chat. And you'll see that if you open up this this calculator, then you'll see that yeah, then you'll see that you guys get the same data on the screen. Carmen, I'm just seeing your message right now. I'm so sorry. I didn't notice that you joined once I changed the time. Guys, I just want to let you know that Professor, is it Kaiseda? I think you might be on mute, Carmen.
Hi, I'm sorry. I felt I did not want to be intruding in
No.
the group, so that's why I sent the message. I didn't want to interrupt either the session because I know time is very valuable. So that's my question. I am learning from what you're saying, but I don't know if I should stay or should I come at another time.
No. You're invited here on purpose. Sometimes we just mix the professors to,
Okay.
as you were saying, time is valuable, so
Okay,
that we
well-
have we do more demos for all. But
Well,
please be welcome.
thank
Feel
you
free to
all.
ask questions.
Well, thank you all for having me. And yes, this is my first time with this new tool.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so did you guys get to open the link on your side?
Yes, and
Yeah.
I have a question about that one.
Please.
So if I'm setting up, say, a lab that they're going to do in March, and I've imported data like this, if I share and click that link and then insert the link in the document they're going to be working with, where they're going to answer questions, will that link stick around? Like, will
Yeah.
that data in that link, as long as it's saved as a name?
Yep, it'll persist.
Okay.
So you can use it 2 months later and it'll work.
Okay, perfect.
And now that we have all that data here, there's quite a bit of work we can do, right? So first of all, we could just turn off some of the data to clear up the clutter. So now we just have X1 and Y1. And, we have a bunch of functions here and you guys can play around with it. But let's say I wanted to do a linear regression of X1 against Y1. Then I get the regression and I get the line of best fit on our squared values. And if I want to click on residuals, I can get those as well. Let's see other examples. We also have polynomial regression, exponential, logarithmic, 1 var stat, 2 var stat. We can do distributions. We'll get to some of those, and then we can do some hypothesis testing. I'll just show you one example. So let's say 2 sample t-test, and I can do either statistics or data. We'll do data, and we'll just plug in, let's say X1 again and Y1, and there we go. Our p-values, as well as a bunch of other relevant statistics.
Great. I like how fast it is, just and intuitive, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're aiming for here. We also have a lot of supporting documents online, so you guys don't have to spend hours teaching your kids how to use a calculator. Okay. And lastly, normal distribution. So I'm just going to type in NDIST, which is the shortcut for it. And yeah, I mean, I'll just show you guys a simple one. You click this button here in the top left, bottom left to zoom in. That way, you got the normal distribution there. The CDF or PDF. Put the value here. And again, there's a ton I'm not showing you, but it would take hours to cover it. It's all available in tutorials, and you can always email me if you have any questions. But I think that's it for the stats for now. Any questions about that?
Can you demo
One of the
the,
things. Go ahead, Liz.
can you demo the inverse functions?
Yeah, inverse EDF, just like that.
Okay, and it does it only, it assumes, so let me see. Inverse. Okay, can you change the mean and the standard deviation? Does it assume a 0, 1?
No, you can
Or
change
if you
it.
have a non-standard, you can change it. How would you do that?
Yeah, I'm just changing the parameters. So you can
Oh,
see
so you have
this,
to do the normal distribution first, got it, and then the inverse behind it.
right? So anytime you type in like a stats function,
Mhm.
you'll see this little question mark here, and that's just telling you what those 2 variables are. So population
Got
mean,
it,
population
yeah.
standard deviation.
Does it do this student t distribution as well?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And that's what I was trying to work with the inverse function and couldn't get it to work, but it has to follow the distribution function. Okay,
Correct.
that makes sense. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Two of the things that we use in Excel, Dan, are we work with forecasting at the end of the semester. We do moving average and exponential smoothing.
Smoothing.
Are those functions built in somewhere in here, or would that be something we'd have to kind of build ourselves?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's something that would come from Excel. It's not something that
Okay.
we've built. But please send me an email with it, and I'll definitely add it to our to-do list.
Okay.
Should we move on to the graphing portion?
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the graphing portion is probably familiar with whatever other online calculators you've seen out there. I'll just start with like a regular polynomial, right? And so this is saying, hey, your constants are undefined, so I'm gonna press enter and it'll define all three of them. And so we have sliders, right? You change the values of A, of B, of C. And then as you change the values, right, you have your minima automatically plotted, your maxima, lines of intersections, interceptions. So that's for basic polynomials. We support basically any graphing functions that you would see in K-12 or college. Polar coordinates, right? Rounding functions, floor functions, less than, greater than. So, and again, you can type anything in as a shortcut.
So with the stat graphs, like a box plot or histogram, we saw all those will be in the stat submenu,
Yeah.
not the graph.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we have trigonometric functions again. So, and again, I'm just typing it in, but you could always just grab the function from here. That's a cool function. Yeah, algebraic functions, so we'll go over those, and then calculus, right? So we have derivatives and integrals. I'll say integrals are pretty intuitive on our calculator, I think, relative to a lot of the other ones. So I'm getting I'm taking an indefinite integral right now of x cubed. And I obviously get this fourth degree function. But if I plug in like some bounds, it'll actually go ahead and plot the original integral with the area under the curve and give you the area here. And I can also put an area and variable in the bound, for example, and just see how that changes as I change the variable. And that's about it. I think that's pretty full tutorial. Does anyone have anything they want me to go over specifically? Anything else?
Could you demo how to and say I want to have them enter a list of data? It's a short list. I'm not going to do it through Excel. Can they enter that and save it so that they can make a histogram of it, make a box plot of it, calculate statistics? How would that be done?
Yeah, so there's two ways to do any sort of listing. You could just set it to a variable with brackets. Right?
Okay.
And then they could even share that and again reuse it in the future. Let's say they want to submit their homework, they could just submit a link to you. And they can call it Daniel's homework number 1. And I could just copy that link and paste that in some answer sheet. And then you can also, sorry, go ahead.
So that would be their answers to this. They can share back.
Oh yeah, this share feature can be used very, very, very creatively.
Yeah, that's kind of cool that they don't have to. Okay. Go ahead with what you were going to do. Then I have another question.
Can I,
And then you-
can I ask something? So if they have the link, anybody who has the link can access, or do they need to, sign up?
Anyone can access it, even if they're not
Okay.
signed up. Anyone.
Like, I
So
could-
if I just open up a private browser right now,
Mm,
that is not signed up, it'll open the link.
It will
Daniel,
open
come
it.
over.
Okay, thank you.
I guess it's taking a second to load. There we go. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing in it because that's what I shared, but okay. So, and then the last way to use a list again is you could just type in table like I did, and then each of these individual columns will act like a table. You could also always add a table or a list by just clicking here and just choosing what you want to add. Then you can full screen the table if you ever want. Make it more like a spreadsheet.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So, yeah, so I had a question about embed. What is that
Okay.
referring to?
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you have like a Canvas or any other like, online homework portal, instead of putting
We
a
do
link to the
Blackboard.
calculator, yeah, so you could literally embed the calculator as a widget just by copying this link and pasting the code in.
Into Blackboard.
Yeah, but like into the coding
Okay.
section. So you couldn't just like
Right.
enter it as plain
Ah.
text. Like, yeah.
Okay.
And that's really nice because it'll just show up as a calculator and then they can play around with it further. So you could actually use ClassCalc to build questions. So let's say on Blackboard, before I used to ask a question with 20 points of data. Now every student had to input 20 points of data. Now I can just embed a calculator with 20 points of data already in it. And again, it's like it'll show up as you see it here. A calculator on the homework question, and they can just play around with it and do whatever function operation they need to do and get the answer. So it's just much more efficient. You could also plug it in with the sliders and say like, hey, how does a normal distribution, change as you slide the mean, right? As you slide the standard deviation. So maybe that's like a new creative way, right? So I would do something like this. And I'll just click that so that it's zoomed in, and I would share this, right? And I can even write it in the description or something, or I can even write it in plain text. I could say, how does NDist change with A and B? So now they just like slide A and it's like, oh, look, it's like shifting. And then they slide B and oh, it's getting more narrow. You can always change the bounds too. Standard is -10 to 10, but you can make it, -5 to 5. With a step of 0.1.
Cool. Is it possible for, I noticed there's a lot of random functions. Is it possible to create a variable that is like random numbers so that when I share the link, each student is going to get their own set of data? Or no?
Let's try that out. It's actually a great question. I don't think so, unfortunately. I think it generates. Let's see. So okay, so yeah, we have a random list 5, 2, 3, 4, 4. And then if I share this and open up the private browser. Oh, it is different. Look at that.
Okay.
So
Now,
everyone
is
will get
there a
random
way then
numbers.
students would have to write those numbers down somewhere and then they could work with them. So I'm just thinking like we do group work in class sometimes, and it'd be, I think, more interesting for each group to have their own data and then share out, here's what happened with ours, here's what happened with theirs, whatever.
Right. So what was the question?
So is there a way, like they get those 5 numbers? I mean, let's say I want to randomly generate 50. Is there a way for that to show up as a list then on the left panel, or would they have to type those in?
I think maybe they could, no, I can't copy and paste it. Oh, maybe. Oh, why is it not working? I wonder if it's about brackets. Let's see. No, it's not working for some reason. I'm not. Usually, I should be able to set it to a variable. I actually cannot be able to do it at the moment. Yeah, it might be a little bug. You should be able to do it. But I guess for now, you would have to type it until we fix that.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of some way I can make it happen. How interesting does that work? Oh, you can multiply it. Okay, that's interesting. The math works.
Would there be a way if you inserted a table? Can you define in the table?
A random integer?
Yeah.
No,
It's like instead
unfortunately
of
not.
entering 30 values, could you somewhere in the table? I can play this later. We don't, if it's not a,
No, it's a great question, but no, I don't think you could. Yeah, it won't show up here.
okay. We'll play with that. Even a small set is good to get them started with the little stuff, but I think
It's something
Carmen
we
has
can
a
add to our
question.
roadmap for sure. Carmen, yeah, you raised your hand.
Oh, yeah. This because you were talking about embedding in the Blackboard. So can we build a test and embed it so that they have access to the calculator during the test
Yeah, absolutely.
in Blackboard? So you build the test, you embed it with the code, and when they take the test, they have a calculator integrated into the problem.
Yes.
Okay, I get it. I get it. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions?
I think I'm all right for now. This has been really helpful.
Yeah, I'll just say that let's see how do we end the